Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Tuesday, October 29th, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. We do that by making you do a little bit of work. It's not that hard. Come on, gang. All you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, write us that note, and if you'd like to join us live, check the box, and Mark does everything else. While you're on the website, don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. Comes out every Friday. Mark does such a good job. You can also subscribe to our service called Jill on Money Live. That is where you have access to a quarterly live webinar, 4 of them, for the next 12 months. Bonus video content, the back catalog of everything, all for $35. What a bargain. Our next webinar is coming up fast. It is Thursday, November 14th at 7 Eastern Time. Do you want to make the most out of your year-end tax and financial planning? Do you want to learn how to actually tax loss harvest? We have a great guest, CFP and CPA Michael Goodman will be joining us. You can only go into that beautiful webinar with your subscription. Again, $35, and you get 3 more after this one. So check it out. Jill on Money Live, $35, all for you. Okay, today we are going to do some emails because Mark says they are piling up. So here is a question from Chris, who writes, "Hi, Jill. Thanks for the show. I love your books, and I'm a big fan of the podcast. I'm facing a dilemma. A few years back, Nvidia, speaking of things that have gone up a lot, was just 5 to 6% of my portfolio. It is so great that it surged so much, and it's now become, wait for it, 50% of the portfolio. All of that increase came from the stock appreciation. So now I know that you advise that individual stocks not be more than 10%. But on the other hand, AI, it's just starting out. It's in its initial stages. People look for a great future. Should I book some profits by selling Nvidia so that the value is just 10% of the portfolio? Or is it okay that I keep ignoring this 10% rule? Thank you, Chris." Chris, I'd love to know so much more about you. So here's a few things that come to mind. Number one, we're just talking about this kind of year-end idea of like, what do you do if something's big and, becoming a bigger part of your portfolio? If this is 50% of your fund money portfolio, okay, you hear what I'm saying? The fund money part, and you want to let it ride, you can let it ride. I don't care. But if this is 50% of your total invested assets, meaning when you add this up, is this half of your retirement assets, half of like your real core assets and your holdings? If that's the case, I think we really need to think carefully about how to reduce the position. So there are a few ideas. I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about your life, but perhaps you are charitably inclined. And if that's the case, I might consider opening up a donor advised fund. You can find these through any of the big houses like Vanguard and Fidelity and Schwab. And what you can do is you can gift that Nvidia stock into the donor advised fund. Okay. So I'm going to make up the numbers. If it was 5,000 and now all of a sudden it's a $50,000 position, you can take 20 grand of Nvidia and you can pop it into a donor advised fund. You get a write-off for that 20 grand that you've put in. You don't have to give it away immediately. You've got some time. And so that's one thing to consider. But, if this is truly 50% of every single thing that you have invested, I would encourage you to maybe take some of the gain. Doesn't have to be everything, but maybe you say, okay, I'm going to sell out. So at least I start getting that position down. And, the capital gains rates, they're really favorable right now. I don't know where you stand in this, Chris, but I'd love to know more about you as a human being and your financial situation so we can give you some really good advice. But it's a good problem to have. So let's see if we can kind of suss it out a little more. Okay, this is from Glenn, who writes, "I just listened to your Why You Need a Brokerage Account show." This was on the Compound and Friends on the YouTube channel. Anyway, it inspired me to reach out for some guidance regarding my current financial situation. I have a healthy account balance and I'm considering purchasing a car that I can easily afford. However, I have a couple of questions. Should I sell all of my long-term losing investments first to take advantage of the tax benefits. Would it be advisable to borrow on margin against my brokerage account for the remaining funds needed? Margin interest is 6.75%. And I'm wondering if the cost of the margin interest would be less impactful than the long-term capital gains tax. Listen, Glenn, I hate margin loans. Only if you're an active trader am I really into it. And, listen, I've had a margin call in my life. It's not a pleasant experience. Mark, you probably don't know about this, but this was at a different time in my life. But I think what I would do is if you have a healthy account balance, you could sell your long-term losers and then sell enough winners to be delta neutral, tax neutral. So then you hopefully have enough money to buy the car. Again, this has so much to do, Glenn, with what else is going on in your life. I'd love to hear more from you, but I just don't think if you've got a bunch of money in an account, that margin interest rate, why am I paying anybody for the cost of money? You have rather, assets and you can afford it. And the capital gains are not going away. In fact, the capital gains rate may go up. I don't necessarily think that this makes a lot of sense, although I'd have to know a lot more about you and also, what else is going on in your life. This is from Emmett, who writes, "Hi, Jill. Do you have any advice for new financial advisors?" Boy, do I ever. I don't come from a business finance background, but I switched careers and joined a career development program at a large insurance company. I've learned a lot so far about market suitability, finding clients, but I'm wondering if you have any tips you can share from your experience. Any advice is much appreciated. Well, listen, Emmett, here's what I have to tell you. Learning from the insurance industry angle is not exactly the whole picture. So what I want you to understand is that the lens through which you see the world working for an insurance company is quite different than learning something through the lens of an independent registered investment advisory firm or even a big wirehouse. And it doesn't mean it's bad, because a lot of people I know from the insurance industry have learned a ton and left it, by the way, and become independent and become quite successful. So I think a few things to remember about financial advisory businesses. One is that they're sales businesses. It's hard. You have to bring assets into that organization in order to make money. 2, be very careful not to lead with product sales. And 3, no matter what, whether the insurance company wants you to do this or not, if you really want to understand about being a financial advisor, you should get certified. You should be a certified financial planner. And I think then you would learn a lot more about the whole aspect of planning and what that entails. You can find out more about the Certified Financial Planner designation at cfp.net. Hope that helps. Okay. This is from John, whose subject is rebalancing. I understand and agree with the principle of rebalancing, but I'm having trouble pulling the trigger on selling 5% of my low-cost, broad-based stock mutual funds. Could you help answer some questions so that I act with discipline? Am I better off selling or shifting regular IRA stock funds into the mainly government bond funds in an IRA account, or sell stock funds and buy the same bond fund in my brokerage account? Does it matter? My biggest problem is I don't want to get lower returns than recently obtained by stock funds. I guess the only answer there is to have the courage to follow the system. Look, whatever your system is your system. I don't care if you don't want to sell something for a gain and you just want to keep everything, do all the rebalancing in your retirement account. That's fine. That's fine. But remember, all those gains, if you, unless you plan on dying and leaving this to your kids, someone's going to pay the gains, right? So I think it's important for you to at least consider that, whatever you're doing, have a system, stick to your system, don't second guess your system. This is why people actually need to work with advisors, because sometimes you're going to trump your own best interests. Okay. This is from Brian, who writes, "Hello, Jill and Mark. I'm 36, single, and I've been fortunate in my career to this point. I have now reached the point where I have accrued significant net worth. Given that I'm single, I haven't felt the urgency to actually set up my estate. But it's changing as I enter middle age." Oh my God, 36 is not middle age, but okay. "Do you have advice for someone in my position? which documents are critical to have and why. Thanks, and I love the show. Okay, here's what you need to know. You got a bunch of money, right? If you have that money in a brokerage account, as long as that account is called a transfer on death account, you can say, if I were to die, this account goes to blank, whoever that is. Now, it could be a sibling, it could be nieces and nephews, whatever. You can pick that. If you want to leave stuff to anyone, you still have to have a will. And that will is a legal document that it basically is going to transfer your assets to whomever you want to transfer them to in accordance with your wishes. So I think having a will is really important. I think you can cut down on the idea of a trust if you don't want to deal with that right now. I don't know how much money you have, but presumably if you want to just have some transfer on death accounts and make someone else beneficiary of your accounts for like a retirement account, fine. But two other documents that you need: a power of attorney. If something happened to you, like you're like, oh my God, I got into a car accident, I broke my back, but you wanted to give someone the right to like go and get money out of the bank because you wanted someone to like buy some treats for the nursing staff. Or you said, oh, I want somebody to actually respond to an IRS inquiry. I want to give someone the power to do that. That's a power of attorney. So that's another document you need. And you also need a healthcare proxy, because if something bad were to happen, you need to direct somebody to act as your agent when it comes to healthcare decisions. So those are the three: a will, a power of attorney, and a healthcare proxy. Okay, this is from Carl, who says, hi, Jill. I am 63 years old and I've been married for 36 years, 3 kids off the payroll, and my wife and I are both working. I'm a lifetime saver. I was disciplined at maxing out the pre-tax portion of my 401k. And this year I hit a new milestone in maxing out both the pre-tax $30,500 and the after-tax $46,000 for a total of boom, 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 $76,500. Wow, that's a good chunk of money that you're saving. My employer plan through Fidelity allows for the auto conversion of the after-tax amount, so that after-tax $46,000 into a Roth. Kind of cool. I have my current employer cash pension, which continues to grow with 11% annual company contributions. Oh my God. I'm going to keep that until I retire from the company. But at what point do I start collecting on my other 2 pensions? The oldest is $272 a month, or a $35,000 lump sum. The second is a plan my current company closed out after a recent merger that has $172 a month and a $23,000 lump sum. Both have a 100% survivor option. I've been holding off on redeeming either of these to reduce tax liability. They're only growing at 2 to 3%. Have I messed up by not collecting them earlier? I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't see why you wouldn't just pull the trigger. If you like having a monthly check, it's fine. The lump sum, would they just write a check, or would they let you roll over a lump sum into something else? Start, ring the bell, get your $272 a month, get your $172 a month, and call it a day. Just do it. There's no reason to wait for it at this point. All right. If you have a question, just shoot us a note. Go to jillonmoney.com, click the contact us button, write that note. That's our email. And let us know if you want to come on the air live. You see how often, if you're, I get it that you're shy, but you see how often I have to say, well, I need more information, because so much of this really is dependent on other stuff going on in your lives. And that's what I want to make you aware of. So, don't be a shy person. We'll change your name. We'll protect you. But come on the show. It's a lot of fun. And while you're on the website, don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every Friday, and Mark does a great job with that. All right, you can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. And please, if you would not mind, try to lift someone up. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.